Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate everyone being here. Great big gratitude to BRAC and to H&M Foundation for organizing this event, which has been going absolutely wonderfully for the last couple of days. And thank you for joining us for this particular session on innovation and technology and how innovation is affecting and altering Bangladesh's RMG industry. Very happy to have you all here, and especially happy to have my two panelists joining me today. Mr. Hassan Mahmoud, who is the Executive Director of the Bitopi Group, who has over a decade of experience working in sustainability, leading a number of LEED certified factories, which are, of course, considered some of the greenest factories in the world. And Mr. Mohammed Zahidullah, who is the Sustainability Head of the DBL Group, who has over 2 decades of experience working across environmental impact and social impact, especially in the lives of garment workers, through numerous collaborations with a number of organizations like the UNICEF, ILO, and PACT. Very happy to have you both here today. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining. I can't think of any two people who are better placed to have a conversation about progress and about forward motion of the industry and where the RMG industry in Bangladesh is going. So thank you so much for being here, and let's begin the conversation. I would request each of you to introduce yourself in a little bit more detail. I kept it very brief because I think you are best placed to talk about your work. So maybe I'll start with my first question, and would request the two of you also to give us a little bit of background on your experience in this space. So the first thing I really wanted to talk about is the journey of Bangladesh's RMG industry has really been a journey of innovation and has been a journey of really rapid progress. And we've seen this industry, being built from scratch to becoming one of the largest manufacturers and exporters in the world of RMG. And that has happened in a relatively short period of time. So innovation seems to definitely have been kind of the bedrock of the industry so far. What I really want to ask the two of you about to begin this conversation off is, what's next for the industry? What's coming up in the future when we talk about technology, when we talk about sustainability and innovation, really? What's coming up next? So perhaps, Hassan, I would love to start with you.
Yep. Before I start, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Hassan Mahmoud, already said, and I'm the Executive Director of Bitopi Group. We have as good as 5 factories, and amongst these 5 factories, 3 factories are LEED certified. 2 of them are highest rated in the world. And we are maintaining this sustainability from the beginning, and we are adaptive to the new changes. So this is what is my background, and we are talking about these changes. The change is a natural phenomena. The change is obvious, and we cannot avoid changes. So we must be adaptive to the changes. Likewise, everything, the fashion also changes. The fashion is driven by the end customers. So you see, to survive and to accelerate in this industry, we must acclimatize ourselves in the changes. Here comes the changes in technology, changes in innovation, and the circularity. So RMG industry is changing rapidly. So we are also adaptive to these changes. So we'll come into details when we come into detailed discussions. Thank you.
Thank you, Hassan Bhai. And Zahid, I would love to have you introduce yourself and also maybe talk a little bit about what are some of these changes. I mean, Hassan Bhai very rightly said fashion changes, and fashion and therefore textile is based entirely in change constantly. And so what are some of these changes that are happening in the industry right now, and what can we expect from RMG in the future?
I cannot hear.
You cannot hear us.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. I'm going to ask Shakil to maybe just text you on the side and work with you. Shakil, who is helping me from BRAC on technology.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
But I cannot hear you.
Okay. Shakil, could I request you to just contact Zahid Bhai on the side maybe and help him get his audio back?
Sure, Tanushri, we're working on the back.
Thank you. Okay, we'll just let him know about that. All right. But sorry about the technology issues. We were just talking about how technology tends to fail us when we need it most, and here we are. So Hassan bhai, back to you while we are figuring out audio. Do you want to tell us a bit about what are some of those changes that are happening in the industry?
Just I'm able to get some. Huh? Okay. It's very unfortunate, I'm unable to hear, but you people are able to hear. So let me continue, whatever. Extremely sorry for if there's a gap because this is unexpected of. So the thing is, as for the journey of sustainability, Bangladesh RMG has advanced a lot in terms of both social environment sustainability, and it's a model which has become something like other countries are also adopting. If you go on to see, for example, the green building, we are leading in terms of green building, and this has happened not in many years. It has taken over just a very short span of time. This has happened. So it's about the investors, the entrepreneurs in this industry. They believe in the sustainability of the industry. They believe in having a long-term vision, and we have done a huge amount of advancement, both in terms of social and environmental. Environmental, a good example itself is Bitopi Group in terms of the investments, what they have done, and even Debel, what it has done in terms of the technology and other things. And there has been huge reduction of GHG emissions in Bangladesh. We are quite aware there's a huge reduction in water consumption. Almost now we are at 50%. I'm talking about, Bangladesh is moving in those directions. And in terms of social advancement, also, there have been a lot of developments coming in. There's a more safe working conditions for the workers, and also they have access to the third party, outsourcing. Like, in fact, if there is any complaint or any affair, so they have a call center to go to a neutral organization, not complaining within the organization also. So these are some of the inputs. In the meanwhile, maybe, Tanushri, you can continue with Hassan bhai, and I try to check again from my side if there's something wrong. Extremely sorry for this.
No problem at all. We will text you our questions on the side or put them on the chat for you. He cannot hear me when I say that, so I'm not sure why I'm bothering. But really interesting insight, Hassan bhai, just to come back to you, very interesting about green buildings, about GHG reductions. And I'm interested in knowing, are these changes towards sustainability happening because there is a demand from the buyers and from the international brands who we are catering to? Or what is really driving and spurring these changes towards sustainability?
You see, I said that it is the fashion is driven by the end customers, the users. So, in fact, these are the demands of the end customers. They are ready to pay higher price if they get a product which is sustainably produced and which is produced respecting the society. That means respecting the human body. Okay, so this is what is the requirement. So that's how the changes are coming, like green building. We are getting dividend out of this green technology, and because this is the demand of the end customers. So we have to be adaptive to this. So that's why we went all the way to reduce our carbon emission. We went all the way to reduce water, and also GHG emission we wanted to reduce. So that's how the fashion is going on. So with that, the technology is coming. We have a big washing plant where we used to use the hand scraping for the denim, whiskering for the denim, potassium permanganate spray for denim, and destroy and tearing. You find the young stars are using toned denim. So those are made artificially. And then tie effect, all these 5 aspects that I said, this is done in one machine, that is laser technology. So there's a huge human being had been working with this, behind this. Now one operator with one machine is doing multiple work together. So this is how it is impacting the human. They had been working in a hazardous way, so we had to take care of their health. Now it is done by a new technology. So these human beings are not separated. They are used for different aspect, different process. So that's how we are maximizing the production. So this is how we are maximizing production, but we are again reducing the emission and reducing the process. So that's how the technologies are coming. There are other technologies also that we are facing in our industry, like washing industry, that is ozone technology. This is really saving water. So this is a very important aspect. Then with the water, the chemical is also being saved. Then again, 50% of the manpower is surplus. So we are using them for a different process. Then again, nanobubble technology is coming up. It is being used by us. Then we are thinking of something after 5 years that is under process of innovation, or this is under a trial, that is robot. With the robot, we can use the potassium permanganate spray. So that is a very health hazardous process. So with this process, when it is done by the robot, the manpower is saved, and again, the accuracy is achieved. So why not we adopt them? When we see all this technology, we have to adopt them. So this is how it is impacting on the manpower, but again, we are reusing this manpower for our other process and maximizing our production.
That's very interesting. And it sounds like it's not just moving towards sustainability for the sake of environmental impact, but also that there is a business case and profitability in these initiatives. And so it's as well as social impact. And so it really seems like you found the sweet spot of these three things. Sorry.
Because we are here to do business. So we have to place this in the business case first. And if it is viable, then only we are going for this. And then we are compensating this human aspect in other way. So we are taking care of the human and the business also as well.
Zahidullah, are you able to hear us now?
I had to log off, and again I signed in. Now it's, I believe, clear. I'm able to hear you. You are also able to hear me.
Yes.
Can you please repeat the question, what you have said, so that I can come back to you?
Yes, absolutely. I'm so glad you're back. Zahidullah, I would request you to maybe just introduce yourself to begin with, although I gave a very brief introduction. Would love for you to talk about your work. And then I'll have a follow-up question basis what Hasan bhai just spoke about.
Thank you, Tanushri. So, hello, I'm Mohammed Zahidullah, Chief Sustainability Officer at DBL Group. I have been working in this organization for 19 years. And throughout the organization, throughout this 19 years of my journey, I have had various responsibilities, starting from administration, compliance, HR, then MIs, and then into the corporate side, and finally leading since 2013 the sustainability department, and even creating the model of sustainability for DBL, which is a 5-pillar model of sustainability, wherein we address the environment and social and economic sustainability by way of our 5 pillars, which is called people, process, product, community, and environment. So this is there. We are regularly publishing our sustainability report since 2013 as per the Global Reporting Initiative guideline. And it's a company, DBL, where we have 40,000 employees. It's a company where we enjoy our work. And I look forward to this discussion panel, but extremely sorry to all of you for this unexpected disturbance.
That's absolutely fine. We were just saying technology lets us down sometimes, and here we are talking about technology and progress. So maybe it's both sides that we are getting to see in this conversation right here. But Zahidullah, I mean, I think that when I hear about your work at DBL and I hear about Hasan bhai's work at Bitopi, you are really both working with two organizations that seem like you're at the cutting edge of sustainability and of automation and technological prowess. Would you say that this move towards sustainability is a niche movement in the RMG sector overall, or is this something that you are seeing spreading very quickly throughout the sector in all of the different levels of factories and companies?
No, I'll not say it's spreading out throughout the country or something. It's going at a slow pace. But yes, you can talk about maybe about 300, 400 companies at the most, which they are adopting. So it's going at that speed. But the best part is that, people are eager to adopt sustainability measures. This is the best thing, at least most and important is that the interest has to be there. And, raising the benchmark is also raising for us. When we are performing, we are outsmarting our own benchmarks, what we are creating. So because others are coming in. For example, we started our sustainability report in 2013. Last year, there are about 10 companies who have published their sustainability report. So it shows there's an interest that, people are coming in terms of, investing in sustainability. And the reality is that, this is something where it's not in terms of expenditure. Investing in your environment or social sustainability is purely a business case because it gives you a competitive edge. We are in a business which is related to a global market where the consumers are coming from mostly from European and American countries, from the Western world. And they also want to see that in their supply chain, these particular measures are there. So now, like, for example, if you see the journey since last 20 years, it was all about, a social compliance in terms of are you paying the right wages or something like that. Then it moved into the safety standards. Now we are talking about decent work, which is coming now. Okay, so that's the thing. So the social advancement is coming. Again, in terms of environment, there was nothing. But now you see, we are talking about high-hanging fruits. We are talking of investments which are capital, which gives you return in about 4 to 5 years, not less than that. But for us, we see it's a purely business case. In social, you don't have much investment, but when you go on to environment sustainability, there's a huge investment. So in our case, from various projects, what we have invested into, we have seen that, I'm talking about the high-hanging fruits, in high-hanging fruits, you're getting return in about 5 years' time, you're getting it. And that's a huge advantage what you're getting, So it should be something, sustainability should be embraced. Whether it's environment, social, it goes hand in hand. It's not that I choose only social or I choose environment. No, it goes complete. And to top it off, it's coming now, what is the governance? Because end of the day, if there's no good governance in the organization, the governance system is not good, then you cannot have your environment sustainability, neither your social sustainability. So it's now ESG, where G sits at the top, holding, this. So this is now what it's moving towards. So we need to continuously move on our journey. Thank you, Tanushri.
Brilliant. I love that term, high-hanging fruit. So we're saying that the intent is there, the desire is there, the returns maybe come in a little bit longer period, but because it is a high-hanging fruit as opposed to those low-hanging fruits that we have covered so far. I love that. We have a question that has come in from somebody in the audience, which I think points to what you're saying. So they're talking about how organizations can start creating their sustainability roadmaps. So an organization that has the intent, what are the first few steps that an organization should take when they want to begin this journey of creating a sustainability roadmap? Hasan Bhai, would you like to respond to that?
Yeah, first of all, I would say that it is the mindset that is needed. And if you have the mindset, then the way you can find out. It's not very difficult. No rocket science. It's very easy platform. You have to only have the mindset and then go with the journey of the requirement of the sustainable aspects like that. So it's simple.
Yeah, sustainability is simple. Zahid, would you agree with that as the sustainability head?
It's all about the intent, and first and foremost, the most important, has to be the top management, the board of directors. If the board of directors are not on board, then the sustainability is never going to be a journey which can be done. So the board has to believe in it, and then only you can achieve sustainability. And of course, when we talk about the Bangladesh garments industry as a whole, there's a lot of things we need to do. We can create a sustainability platform, a knowledge sharing platform where, people who are already into sustainability, they can come and share the knowledge with others, because, we need to think about the collective goodness. We should not rather think just about the individual goodness, because, if the country as a whole is valued in terms of sustainability, then there's business for all. But if only Bitopi or DBL is doing good, that's not sustainability. It's not about business. People are not going to, buyers are not going to come just for 2 or 3 or just a handful of companies. So it's again our responsibility also, organizations like Bitopi, like DPL, that how they take this forward with their neighboring factories we have done this in DPL, creating a knowledge sharing platform, calling other factories nearby to embrace this particular thing. For example, if I say about the dye house, for example, the water. So DPL has been able to reduce its consumption of water, which was 120 liters way back in 2012. We have been able to bring it down to now 55 liters. So we are saving more than 1 billion liters of water in a year. Now the question is that, we are pulling in the groundwater. Now this groundwater, there's no demarcation of the factory that this is DBL's water and this is another factory and this is one. So we are using a common water. DBL has been able to reduce its water consumption. But if the neighboring factories are not able to reduce reduce the consumption of water, then there's no water for DBL also. So as we say, no water, no life, no walk, nothing. So it's all about working together, collective goodness. We should move towards that direction.
Absolutely. And I think the circular economy really is based fundamentally on that principle of everyone is connected to everyone. And that is how we think of circular models, where we all have to kind of come up together. Beautiful sentiment. Thank you. I want to switch gears a little bit to talk about something that Hassan Bhai was mentioning earlier, which is the impact that this kind of growth and progress, whether it is technology innovation or sustainability focused innovation, can have on the human beings and the people that are working in the RMG sector. So I guess my first question would be, every time there is progress and every time there is technological growth and a new technology appears, there is also sometimes a little bit of a backlash where it can be seen as a threat. So it can be seen as a threat to my job or to my livelihood or my, sort of relevance in the industry. Is this something that you are seeing? Is there some feeling of threat to livelihoods in the industry, given the rise towards, so for instance, Hassan Bhai, you're talking about robots. Is there a threat that a robot is going to replace my job, for instance?
In fact, it's not like that. You see, if you talk about the journey of industry in Bangladesh, from 2010, I was going through a survey, and I found that 92% of the factories have adopted changes and technologies. They have seen the technologies, they have embraced the technologies, and from there, the current export is $34 billion. From 2010 to at this moment is $34 billion. And you see, the volume has expanded, volume has increased, but have we increased the manpower accordingly? No, not in that ratio. So that means the technology is coming in, and the changes are taking place, but the use of manpower is not increasing in that way. So what happens that with the technology, with the new fashion design and everything, we are maximizing our production. So that is how the export is going on well. And you see, I was talking about the changes. What is fashion? This fashion remains in Bangladesh in the competition or not? So this fashion will remain like the circular fashion. From fast fashion to circular fashion, this is a change. So are we able to adapt this one? Yes, we are adapting. There is a platform which is a reverse resources BGMEA and P4G. So this platform at this moment 70 factories have registered in this platform, and activities is going on in 30 factories out of the 70. So why are we adopting it? Because the end customers see, yeah, this is a circular fashion, and then we are, this garment industry is the second largest waste producing industry in the world.
Yep.
So everybody focuses on that. Everybody points finger on the RMJ industry. So if we are not concerned about this, then we don't reduce the waste, then the fashion will be at a stake. So Bangladesh will be at a stake. The fashion will continue, but elsewhere, not in Bangladesh. So we have to be adaptive to this. So that's how we have participated, and Bitopi group is also part of that. Our factory has also participated in this P4G platform. So this is how the industries are also taking place by joining all these initiatives, and these are the changes that are coming up, which will not impact on the human workers like that.
I understand. So what I'm hearing is that we are not losing jobs. We are not necessarily creating a lot of new jobs, but by doing this, we are preserving the industry as a whole and preserving livelihoods for longer periods of time. So again, looking at a longer time horizon when it comes to sustainability. Zahid, I would love to talk to you about the gender aspect a little bit of this impact on humans, especially given a lot of your work. And we also have a number of questions that have come in. One of the questions is how gender neutral is RMG tech and innovations? And I think that question just points to the fact that we all know that when we talk about RMG workers, we are talking about almost 80% of them, I believe, being women. And so 60% now, okay, being women. And so when we talk about labor and workers, these are really issues of gender that we're talking about. And there's also a perception, perhaps this is cultural, or I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a perception that women tend to occupy lower positions, not necessarily managerial positions. And if they are involved in cut and sew operations, for instance, primarily, then any kind of automation and progress threatens women's jobs more than it threatens men's jobs. Do you think that is a fair assessment? Is that fair to say?
No, exactly. Actually, I do not see like threat or something like that. What will happen with automation, with machines and robots and other things? Yes, there will be a pressure on the jobs, definitely. The thing is that, like it was very common that there's 80% female workers working in this industry down the line 3 to 4 years back. But now, after Better Work program came into Bangladesh, where they have been doing assessments, almost they've done into 300 factories or something in Bangladesh, perhaps maybe. And from their data now, it's coming that, at least in the factories where they have been visiting, on an average, what they found is it's about 60%. Okay. So now the reduction which has happened from 80% to 60%, has it happened because of the automation? Has it because of also machine intervention or something? If you go on to see, I don't think it has happened because of that. Perhaps what has happened is that with the growth of industry, of RMG industry, the economy, what has developed in Bangladesh, it has given livelihood opportunities in other industries also. Now, if you see the hotels industries have come up a lot, the hospital industries are, a lot of hospitals have come up. So they have alternative jobs which have come up for the women. Now, a woman would be more comfortable to work in a hospital rather than work in a garments industry, because if she works in a hospital, at least the healthcare, she's assured of a free healthcare from the hospital for herself and for the family. And at the same time, she's mostly sitting in a conditioned environment. So what is happening actually in the garments industry, the reduction of the workforce, which has already happened in terms of the female, perhaps is not because of this innovation of technology or something like that. It's more because of the other industries which have come and they have become more attractive for them. So we have a challenge in Bangladesh that, we have to make our garments industry a really attractive place for the women workers. Otherwise, we are going to lose them more in the future. Now, with regard to the things, job, yes, what will happen is that, with technology, manpower will be reducing, but, productivity will be increasing. Again, there will be a job, but not in the same ratio. But in Bangladesh, there are other alternative industries also which are coming. It's not that Bangladesh is now only dependent on RMG. There are 100 special economic zones which are coming up. Bangladesh has become now more of a manufacturing hub. So alternative jobs are also coming. So here, it's nothing that there's a threat or something. Yes, there are jobs to be lost, but at the same time, they can move into other jobs. Like from sewing, what they've been traditionally doing in sewing, they can move into cutting and other jobs. They can, we need to upskill them. And that's the thing. If you see, we from our study, we have seen that, it's very common, husband and wife working in the same company. This is very common in the garments factory. But the behavior of the two is that, the husband, he wants to work more and more for overtime. Why? Because he's the main family bread earner. So his objective is to earn more money. But whereas the wife, she wants to go home early because she has some additional responsibilities. When we compare these two behaviors of a man and a woman, we find that women, they are more focused on the time to time work. They just focus on the time zone. I mean, from 9 to 6 or whatever it is, and they want to go home. So this is again good for us also. So we should create an environment where, more and more women can work in the industry. This is good for everyone. But with regard to threat, I do not feel any threat even in terms of technology, because this is not a new threat which is coming in. Technology, even if you go on to the early 80s, when computers were coming in, that was also a technology. Okay. So what happened? People were worried about losing jobs and all, but did that happen? No. More jobs and more flourishing. So there is an effect. Yes, one job may lose, but another set of job is coming. Like now, for example, Uber has come in, Food Panda has come in. Because of that, you see so many people who are unemployed. Now they are having jobs and all. Thank you.
Absolutely. No, that makes sense. So sometimes this threat, this kind of Luddite response to technology is a perceived threat, but is not necessarily real. But you made a very good point about upskilling. And there's also a question that has come in from someone in the audience about whether increased automation in the industry requires education or requires training. And are women being given this training, or are they expected to have it already? And how are they going about being upskilled? Hassan bhai, would you like to take that?
The automation and the machines and technology I referred before, all these machines and everything can be used by a male or a female, regardless of any gender. So these are very soft touch machines, and these does not require any high skill or education or anything, just common sense. Um, of course, with the training of 1 or 2 days, these can be used. These machines can be used by the female workers also. So there is no change, and there is no difference between male or female for using this technology. So, so this is what it is. So there is no impact on the male or female with the technology.
Absolutely. Hasan, I love your approach of, sustainability is simple. These things are common sense. It really does not need to be overcomplicated and seen as a great threat. I love that approach.
Yeah, you see, we want to retain this business here in Bangladesh. So for that, in fact, Bangladesh has a challenge of doing three things. Like this is product development, and then product diversity, and the efficiency improvement. These three things we have to adopt. For product development, for product diversification, for all these things, we need to have our research and development sector in the industry. So as I can tell you with the pride that we have a very high standard of design studio and product development department, and we have a design studio in Dhaka in this office, our office, and we have another design studio at La Corone, that is Spain. So in Europe also we have office in London also. So this is how we are seeing to the fashion, the trend, and then analyzing and then developing our own design, and then we are dealing with the brands. So this is how we have to go on to retain this industry. Not that the buyer comes, the brands come with a sample and say that what is the price for this, how much you can make. No, we want to drive, we want to be in the driving seat with this. So these are the changes that you're talking about, the industry will face, in Bangladesh industry will face. And then if we are not ready to adopt all these things, then we will be nowhere. So this is how we are preparing ourselves as a whole in the industry.
Absolutely. And Zahidullah, this change is coming and is happening. And I guess a similar question to you, especially with your experience with the Better Work program. How are women being equipped how are women being equipped so that they are taken along on this journey of progress?
Okay, then in two things. First thing, if I go on for Better Work, Better Work has come up within their program. There's a program called GEAR, which is Gender Equity and Returns. Through this, they are providing soft skill training where they are making female supervisors, female leaders in the factory. And we also have our own program. Since 2016, we have embarked on this journey, Female Supervisor Leadership Program, where we are giving them almost 40 hours of training, more focusing on the technical side of the training. And then also they need to be on 1 month training with regard to the sample making, product making, the entire garments, because end of the day, when they are leading, they should know all the process and all. So what has happened, we have interventions, we have 104 female supervisors. Better Work has created almost in their network of factories, there may be huge number of already female supervisors there. So these supervisors, they are having a very good soft skill training. I still remember in one of the program, one of the Better Work trained supervisors, she was talking that, they have been also given soft skill training on anger management. So this is something missing in the present existing male supervisors. So, these soft skills, they have already adopted that, these are the things what require that, in the flow, you lose your temper, but how do you control your anger? So these soft skills are already doing. So, what will say that, the journey evolution has already begun. Now we need to see how we can integrate them with the technology. Now, with regard to that upskilling, the thing is that at least two simultaneous interventions we need to do. One is immediately come up with the trainings, things, like modifying our existing TVET and other things, so that those technological trainings can come in. And at the same time, we need to change our education system also. The education system, what we have, it should be more also for job-oriented nature also, because all of the people are not going to go for bachelor's and master's also. So there will be people who will be working with the mass crowd. So I mean the job field. So they should be we should review our education system. More of a technical things should come in. More of a technical education should come in there, so that these people, whether it's male or female, they do not lose job. They are prepared for the future also. And another thing is that like there's nothing to be afraid of this technology thing. People are talking about one sewing machine. Like I saw in a video software. There's a company, SOFTWEAR, where software. So sounds a good name. It's a company perhaps in USA, and that machine can itself do 17 different processes. So there's nothing to be afraid of it. Reason for it is that because the software company who has made this particular technology, they know their customers are not in USA. They know their customers not in Europe. Their customers are in the third world countries. Because if USA or Europe goes on to, as people are talking about reshoring also, if say, for example, USA goes on to make apparel these days, then what happens? They're going backward 100 years. They made 100 years back garments and they're going. So this is not an advancement. This is going backward and it's not going to happen. So there's nothing to be afraid of. Only thing, yes, we need to be prepared. It's good that these signs are coming and we need to gear up for that.
Absolutely. And Zahidullah, I just wanted to bring up an example that you had given me when we were speaking earlier, where you had found a financial advantage and a business case for women progressing into managerial and supervisory positions. And I think this was also part of the Better Work program. Could you speak about that very quickly? Because we just have a couple of minutes to go, but I'd love to get that example in.
Sure. So this is not actually part of the Better Work program. We embarked on our own journey before. It's our own in-house program, the Female Supervisor Leadership Program. So what we did was that we made a study of our about 42 female supervisor on a peer, like peer-to-peer study did. Like, today, if one supervisor, the female newly promoted supervisor, she's working in, say, line A. So the previous record we checked with what was the performance of the male supervisor. So we did a study of 40 female supervisors. On the average result was that we found that the female supervisors were 2.98% more efficient than the male supervisors. Okay, now this 2.98%, when we go on to calculate in terms of people's volume of business, what we find there's a business case of almost $1.5 million of extra production in a year we can do. Brilliant. It's very well proven. And even there was a study which was done by Oxford University, and what they found is that the lines where female supervisors are working, the quality output is much higher. I mean, better, not much higher, I'll say better than the male supervisors. Now, these female supervisors were hardly 6 months in the swing lines. They were leading, whereas those male supervisors were leading for a long time. The reason for is that, these newly promoted female supervisors, they've been very dedicated to the job. They've been going to each and every workstation, seeing that things are getting done in the right way. Whereas compared to the male supervisor who's there, he just goes once in the 1 hour over there and gives a big shout, and he feels that's the job. The more louder your voice, the more higher production you get. Those days are gone now. We need to consider each other and move.
Very inspiring example. I really wanted to bring that in. We only have a couple of minutes to go, though I wish we could talk longer. But Hasan bhai, any closing words from you on your commonsensical approach? So any closing words from you on this topic?
Okay, before that, we have also experienced these female supervisors in our factory, and where we found that their performance is 1.8% higher than the male supervisors. So that also maximizes the production. But problem is, we carried out the survey before we make the female supervisors. There is a social stigma, I would say, that this is going on in the brain of our society. So that will go off. The male workers, they don't accept female supervisor. The female workers, they also don't accept female supervisors. The management, they also don't accept. So these will gradually change. Overnight, you cannot expect. There is a business case. We are trying. We are adopting this, but this will take some time. And to, as you said about the closing remark, yes, we are going into adopting the new technologies and circular fashion also. We are adopting circular fashion wherever it is possible. We are trying to reduce our waste and upcycling and recycling also all our waste, so that the industry becomes sustainable. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Zahid bhai, closing remarks from you. I can give you 1 minute.
I'll say is nothing to worry about. Technology has been always coming. It's part of the thing. And the best part is that, the best human quality is nothing but adaptiveness. Human being has got this greatest quality. And definitely, Bangladesh will be adopting. It has done it before, and it will do all this.
Amazing.
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you both so much. That was a wonderful conversation. A number of takeaways from me on how we need to look at where we are. I think number one would be, let's look at sustainability as a high-hanging fruit rather than a low-hanging fruit. If we give it a little bit of time and patience, we see returns coming in. We do, however, need a knowledge-sharing platform. There are leaders and there are laggers, and your two organizations are certainly leaders and certainly clearly very open to sharing what you have learned with the rest of the industry. We are all interdependent and interconnected, and so the industry needs to move up collectively. And the threat to livelihoods is perhaps more of a perception than a reality, and women are really moving up the value chain, and there is clearly already a business case for preserving and improving women's livelihoods in the sector. These would be my key takeaways. We'd love to hear from the audience on what their key takeaways were. But thank you both so much. Really, really appreciate you being here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.